Welcome to the SEC Unfiltered channel in this February 3rd SEC Basketball Power Ranking segment. Guys, this segment is brought to you by our new title sponsor, and we're fired up to be with them, FANDUEL. Visit FANDUEL.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Let's get right to it, folks. You're here for the meat and potatoes. I'm here to give it to you. Soak it all in. Soak it all in. Get those emotions out. And I just want to preface, guys, I don't rank these by one game. I know that a lot of the big talks, Tennessee, Florida, hey, we beat Florida bad on Saturday. How they still rank just a spot ahead of us? Well, if we rewind it a little bit, Tennessee did the same to, or Florida did the same to Tennessee just 2 weeks ago in Gainesville at the O-Dome. So it is what it is. I'm not going to take one basketball game. Just like Mississippi State, to some people, I guess, should be in the 15-16 range. They went 0-2 this week. Lost at home to Alabama and Missouri. Lost to two teams at home. If we just judged them off what they did this week, they'd be in the bottom of the league, right? Right? And Arkansas will be way up there off one game. Hey, we're still judging this by a full season, folks. But let's get right to it. Coming at number 16, the South Carolina Gamecocks at 10-12, 0-9 in league play, net ranked 92nd. Again, you don't feel like you're watching an awful basketball team when you watch Lamont Paris' 24-25 squad. You don't. It's just they do things to lose games. They had a chance on Saturday against A&M to try to get a win. Didn't get it done. Like, had a chance in the under 4 minute. They just find ways to lose. This isn't a roll the ball out type of team where you can roll it out and go beat them by 20, especially at home. Again, they could have won at Auburn. They could have beat Auburn at home. Could have beat Mississippi State, Florida, had Vandy on the ropes at home. I wouldn't say they should have beat A&M, but they had a chance. Well, I think we can all agree here. I think our first two schools here, 16 and 15, we'll all agree. Speaking of 15, LSU, 12-9 overall, 1-7 in league play, net ranked 74th, 0-2 week, dropped it to Auburn, and got rocked by Texas this past week at home. So lost both home games. I think both these teams, South Carolina and LSU, to be fair, not to over talk about them, but I think they're going to be locks to not make the tournament. I think those are the only two teams right now after what Arkansas did this past week where you could totally lock them in into not making the NCAA tournament. I think that's fair. So we'll have LSU there at 15. Number 14, Arkansas. Some people may argue here. Coming in at 13-8, 2-6 in league play, net rank of 47. Again, some people they dropped after beating Kentucky. Again, it's one game, and I want to see what Arkansas does this week against Texas at home. I think that is a massive game because I got to put Arkansas – I've said it. If you follow us a lot, I think we got 9 teams that are in NCAA tournament locks. And I think we got 4 to 5, depending where you rank Arkansas, in that bubble talk. And they're ultimately going to determine does the SEC get 10 or 13 in. And then you got the last two, I think LSU and South Carolina certainly that are not going to make the tournament. And then you may keep Arkansas in this and that, but – if they beat Texas on Wednesday, my point being, I would throw them in that group of 4, and they'd be the 5th team there now. Again, Adu Thero, big game. DJ Wagner, big game against Kentucky. Big Z. It's like they fought. They had Cal's back. Can they springboard it? Again, they got to stay healthy. They already lost Boogie Flanagan. It seems like they've been playing a little better with him now with Nelly Davis at the point. But they got to stay healthy because they're already short. He only brought in 9 guys to start off. They're at 7 or 8 now. Any injuries would derail this team, but I think it starts on Wednesday night. I think they got to get the win at Texas, and they got to get to 7 conference wins. 7-11 is key. 8-10, anyone in the league's in, but 7-11 is that point. Let's see, but Arkansas coming in at 14th. That's the first one you may argue with me, and I wouldn't have a problem with that. Would love to have a conversation with you. Tell me where I'm wrong in the comments first, guys. Number 13, the Oklahoma Sooners coming in at 16-5, 3-5 in league play, 38th overall in the net rankings. Again, big week for them. Big week for them overall. I mean, they get Auburn and Tennessee. It's going to be a tough one this upcoming week for them. Can they move up? They're still in that 4-team category of Vandy, Oklahoma, Texas, and Georgia, maybe Arkansas, that are going to determine this league. Again, they got to go collect wins. 7 wins is the goal. 7 conference wins. They need 4 more wins. Can they get it? It's kind of the race to 7 for the Arkansas, Oklahomas, Georgias, Oklahoma, and Vandy's. I mean, I think it's a little bit where we're at from that perspective with these two teams. Or with Oklahoma, at least. I think that's where we're at. So That'll be interesting from that perspective. Oklahoma, I mean, they rallied from double digits against a hot Vanderbilt team on Saturday to get a home win, a much-needed one. Are they out of the woods? They feel no. You got to start getting wins, Porter Moser. They know that. But Jeremiah Fears, Jalen Moore, even the A&M loss last week, I thought they're starting to play more comfortable. They didn't look deer in the headlights as they did at the beginning of conference play. They're starting to, their scorers, their young guys are starting to get more comfortable playing this SEC competition. Does that translate to more wins in the back half of the regular season of conference play? I don't know. They're going to need it. 7's the goal. Number 12, the Georgia Bulldogs, 15-7, 3-6 in league play, 34th in net. Well, this is an interesting team because they've kind of faded since, I mean, their big wins, Kentucky at home, but they've kind of faded since league play started. Took a loss to Alabama on Saturday, got a win against South Carolina in the midweek slate, but that's really nothing to write home about. And they turned Alabama over 20 times and still lost by 21. I think they had 19 shots more than Alabama and still lost by 21. They just shot that poor. Like the offensive funk of that team, they have to start collecting wins here. Again, the goal for them, they're right with everybody else. They're right with those teams, the 4 to 5 teams. The race to 7 wins. Race to 7 wins right there. And there's not much to say about Georgia. It's like it had the light for Mike White's squad. In year 3, his most talented teams he had. Probably some of the more talented Georgia teams they've had since Jim Herrick was roaming the bench at Stegman. Like, they need to make the tournament this year. I would be disappointed. In the start of conference play, again, has been a little disappointing outside of the Kentucky game. Again, I don't know. Just a weird vibe with this Georgia team. But they got to start collecting wins. Texas coming in at 11, 15-7, 4-5, 25th in the net rankings. They're kind of gap-wise, metric-wise, separating themselves a little bit from Oklahoma, Georgia, Vandy, teams like that. Obviously, Arkansas. I mean, because Vandy is no, that's still Arkansas. I'm looking at it now. But yeah, like I mentioned, Texas, 15-7, 4-5, net rankings 25th. In the poll, it matters. This one coming in at 11th. Big game, like I mentioned at home. They got to protect # bless the mood, as our guy Matthew McConaughey says on Wednesday against Arkansas. It's one of the more intriguing games. We got Missouri, Tennessee this midweek. Really interested in this midweek slate down at the Moody Center. But I don't know. They just need to get some more consistent scoring, like we've mentioned all year, outside of Trey Johnson, Arthur Kaluma when he's healthy. Caden Shedrick starting to play a little better. But again, all of these teams from Arkansas, from 14, 13 Oklahoma, 12 Georgia, we just mentioned, 11 Tennessee, Texas. And the next team I'm going to talk about, Vandy, sitting at 16-5, coming in at 10th, 4-4 overall, net ranking 44th. Again, I put all 5 of these teams in the same category. Again, not a bad loss for Vanderbilt on Saturday at home against Oklahoma. And you hate blowing a double-digit lead at any time, but all right, you're not disappointed. You still have some games you need to go win. Again, it's the race. Those 5 teams, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Texas, Vandy, the race to 7 and 8 wins. That's what it's going to be. All of them still need another 3 to 4 wins to really get there. And they all play each other coming up here soon, and at least late in the year too. So I think group those 5 teams if you're tearing them off all together there. Interesting there. Number 9, this is where Kentucky fans may get a little upset after their big win midweek against Tennessee and then dropped. I think they looked, for the first time in the Mark Pope era, they looked real deer in headlights with him on the bench and his players. It looked like they felt the pressure. It looked too big for them. The moment looked too big for them. So I think even I make fun of people for being prisoners of the moment. We're all guilty of it. I think maybe I'm being it a little bit here, but being critical of myself. But Kentucky comes in at 9th for me this week, 15-6, 4-4. Net ranking of 19. Again, this after a win at Knoxville, and I had them at 9th. Again, I can see the argument here. Some Kentucky fans, Big Blue Nation, getting after me. I feel you, but the way they just looked like a deer in headlights and had no answers to a 1-6 Arkansas team rolling into your building, it just looked like it was too much. Maybe it's just a one-off game. And I'm telling people, let's don't overreact. Again, we all get caught up in this because this is how good the league is. Where do we rank all these teams, especially the top 10 teams? Kentucky's 9th to me right now. Again, they need Kerr Kriisa back. They need Lamont Butler back. They need these guys to get healthy. I want to see a complete healthy Andrew Carr. They need these guys to get back healthy. Now, Carr may be out with the back and not out, but limited with the back injury for the rest of the season. That may just never heal, and it probably won't. But we got to get Lamont Butler. And it sounded like Mark Pope said it may be we're reevaluated. I caught him saying in a couple of weeks. That's scary a little bit. I don't like that. And the injuries is why I pushed them back. A little deer in headlights, worst performance of the season, in my opinion, maybe outside of that Ohio State game. And then just kind of the injuries, the lingering injuries. You need guys to continue to get healthy. The Lamont Butler comment scared me. I didn't like it for Mark Pope. So they sit there at 9th. But, guys, You know what I do like right now? Super Bowl 59, one game, two teams, endless possibilities, and there's no better way to make every play more exciting than with FanDuel Sportsbook. Whether you're predicting the first touchdown, who will take home the MVP trophy, or the coin toss, FanDuel makes it easy to place your bets and feel the thrill of every moment. With live betting all game long, you can jump into action, adjust your bets, and ride the wave of excitement from kickoff to the final whistle. Plus, to make the Super Bowl even sweeter, new customers can score $200 when you make your first bet. Just place a $5 bet, and if you win, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Download the app or head to FanDuel.com/SECU and bet with FanDuel, official partner of Super Bowl 59. Disclaimer, must be 21 and present in the select states for Kansas in affiliation with the Kansas Star Casino, or 18 and older and present in D.C. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued. Non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit Gambling Helpline ma.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Let's get right back to it, guys. Coming in at number 8, the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Tough week for Chris James and the boys. 16-6, 4-5. Net at 31. Here's where somebody like how they had at Kentucky when Kentucky beat them head-to-head. Kentucky had a better week. Again, this goes back to the injuries for Kentucky. Lamont Butler, when they get Kirk Risa back. That's just in the way they looked. I think Mississippi State just had a horrific performance against Missouri on Saturday and let Alabama beat them twice. Again, they lost 2 home games to Alabama and a nail-biter, and then Missouri, Caleb Grill and the boys just got after them on Saturday night in the Hump. I think they let Bama beat them twice. Not taking anything away from Missouri. You'll see how I have them moved up. Stay tuned for that, guys. That's the big trajectory move. Just 8th. This could be someone argue with me. Again, I wouldn't hate it. I'd hear you out. I think you may even have a legit gripe. But I like them here, and I give the edge because of how Kentucky, and again, I may be a prisoner of the moment, how they looked on Saturday, looking too big for Mark Pope and Kentucky. It doesn't mean long-term it's too big. I just think Saturday night and then the injuries. It's just like Mississippi State a little bit there. Took a little bit more from the Alabama game. The Missouri game, it is what it is. They just got to go flush that. But they're going to come at 8th, and I could hear some arguments here for sure. Coming at 7th, Ole Miss, 16-6, 5-4, net 23rd. 1-1 week for the Rebs. Got the big win against Texas on Wednesday night that they had to have, and then dropped to 1 at home against Auburn, who's the best team in the country, which they had chances. They're in the final 8 minutes. They just can never get it past the 2 to 4 point lead. Auburn just making big-time plays, what big-time teams do. Nothing to really take away from Ole Miss there. I think them in State will be a lock. Again, Mississippi State fans will probably argue they should be ahead of Ole Miss because they have the head-to-head. But the game, Ole Miss, Mississippi State will play again. That's coming up in Oxford here soon. I don't know. I didn't think it was a bad week for Ole Miss. I thought they played pretty well overall in that game. They just got to start collecting. 1-4 since they beat Alabama. And they played some tough teams. They just got to start collecting more wins. But I like the way this team is. Sean Padula has been consistent. Morrell and Jermaine Brakefield are starting to kind of come in their own a little bit. They need to consistently get that going. Malik Dia needs to keep rising up. Hadn't played that well since you saw the Alabama performance. 22 points, 19 boards, something like that. Haven't seen the same. And again, I'm sure in the scouting report, that's why. But still, you need him stepping up. They need all the scores for Ole Miss because they can be limited at times offensively. But I like the Rebs at 7 right now. Number 6, Texas A&M coming in at 17-5, 6-3 in league play, net 14th. I think we're starting to see the Ags here a little bit. What are we getting at him? A healthy Wade Taylor. Remember they went about a week and a half, 2 weeks playing Bama and Kentucky without him. They had the big come from behind win on the road at Oklahoma. I mean, what are we thinking, A&M? Again, they didn't have the prettiest performance in Columbia, but, I mean, neither did Auburn. Neither did Florida. Neither did Mississippi State. For whatever reason, people kind of played out of the competition to South Carolina there, and South Carolina's usually in these games. Beat Oklahoma midweek. It's just an issue. We know what they're going to do. It's going to be the Wade Taylor, Zerk Phelps show. You're going to have guys like Pharrell Payne, Henry Coleman collect that, Andy Garcia, and the boys do. That's just what they're going to do. They're going to be tenacious, hard to beat at Reed. I think a real opportunity to be a second weekend team. I mean, it's been kind of the core group of guys outside of Tyrese Boots Radford for the last 3 years for Buzz Williams and the boys. So I think we kind of know what we're getting with them. They're pushing for a top 4 spot, double bye in Nashville there, and obviously give you a really good seed in the NCAA tournament if you finish in the top 4 of the SEC this year. Number 5, Tennessee fans didn't like this, but you're sitting at 5. 18-4, 5-4 in league play. Net ranked fourth. Again, I know you played really well. One of the bigger surprises of the day on Saturday, them taking it to Florida with 7 scholarship players, with Tennessee being limited offensively at times. This one kind of surprised me, folks. I mean, it really did. Like, not they won, just the beat down. Florida, one of the worst offensive performances I can remember since maybe the Lon Kruger days, prior to Billy Donovan, pre-Billy Donovan, guys. That was awful. This is a good Florida offense. That's why I think it was just a one-off performance here. But get Tennessee back. It could have been a disastrous week. 2 home losses to Kentucky, Florida, teams you're fighting for top 4 spots with. I mean, I don't think Tennessee's going to compete for the league now. You're already 4 games back, really 5 with the tiebreaker to Auburn. So I don't think they're competing for the league. And I don't think a lot of teams are really outside of Alabama, Missouri, and Auburn. But, I mean, it's just tough to rank. I think they're just 5th. I still think Florida is better than Tennessee. And that you may clip this, maybe on freezing cold takes. I just think they are. Let's not forget. And again, I've been a prisoner of the moment. Maybe I need to have Kentucky moved up a little more. But it's hard. This league is so hard to grade, guys, week to week. And I don't want to just take one game. But sometimes, I don't know. It's the way it looks, the body language and stuff like that. I don't know. Tennessee at 5, the offensive ceiling just terrifies me. If Chaz Lanier isn't shooting well, if Sakai Ziegler can't get going, and he didn't play the other day. I don't know. I've said it all year. Even when Tennessee was undefeated, the offensive ceiling scares me from a deep run in the NCAA tournament and finishing in the top 2 or 3 in the SEC. I think Steve 4 is definitely in it still. Number 4, speaking of Florida, coming at 18-3, 5-3 across the board, net ranked 5th. Again, one game, not going to overreact. Got to bounce back this week though. Still think Florida has a better chance of making the Final Four. I said it on Thursday night show at Dave Knows Ball. Then they have a better chance of making the Final Four than winning the SEC regular season. But they get Auburn this week on Saturday. They have to go win that game if they want to stay in the SEC race. And even then, it'll still be tough because that same Florida probably have to win out. Auburn have to drop 3 more games, which I don't see happening right now. But Florida 18-3, 5-3, net 5th. You could flip-flop Tennessee, Florida if you wanted. I wouldn't be too mad. I would still hold strong and say Florida, but you got an argument to some extent. Maybe if you wanted to keep Florida at 3. I didn't go that bold, and that was more because of the next team, Missouri. At this point, I had to move them up. 17-4, 6-2, 21st in the net ranking, just playing really well. Playing really well. I mean, I really think they're going to compete for the league? No, but I think they're going to finish in the top 4 if you made me pick right now. Team just keeps getting it done, get points at the free throw line, shoot pretty well, field goal percentage, force turnovers. They're going to be hard to beat in Como, Mizzou Arena. Tamar Bates, I think Mark Mitchell is one of the least talked about players in the league. I think Dennis Gates has done a really good job. I mean, it's wild. I mean, with Kobe and them 2 years ago, and then they were so bad last year, 0-18, and then them coming back and potentially finishing in the top 4 this year, it's just a roller coaster. I mean, you gotta love what Dennis Gates is doing, dude. I love his demeanor on the sideline. Gives a confidence level. I like this Missouri team right now. What they went and did in Starkville, Caleb Grill, man, the 6th man of the year. I mean, it just looks like your 40-year-old is just going to go wipe up the floor with some dudes at the YMCA, and you're like, you didn't see that coming. I mean, wrong guy looks 40, but does a phenomenal job. Pure shooter, set shooter. Again, when I watch him, it's like people don't pay attention to the scouting report. It's like, dude, don't give this guy any space. He's pulling up. He already knows for the ball and he gets passed to him if he's shooting, if it comes to him. And people still just give him some space. An underrated game we got coming up here, guys, in about 2 weeks. Alabama at Missouri right after Alabama plays Auburn, folks. Missouri gets them at home after the Auburn game. Perfect spot. Missouri could legitimately be competing for the league. Now, I think them dropping Auburn early, it's going to hurt them. But still, you got to love what Missouri's playing. Fiery. They're getting it done. They come in at number 3. The biggest movement of the week right there. Missouri Tigers give my boy Rambo a little shout out there. Number 2, the Alabama Crimson Tide, 19-3, 8-1. Net ranking is 6th. I think they're the only team that can knock off Auburn. And again, February 15th, 2 weeks from this past Saturday, the Auburn Tigers will come to Coleman Coliseum for a showdown. Bama's going to have to win that game. This past week, Bama getting the big win at Mississippi State. That officially put them in, I think, contention like, hey, we're here to compete with Auburn again. They're 1 game back, 8-1. Auburn's undefeated. I think Bama's going to have to beat Auburn twice this year. It's further down the road. They're off this midweek, and they go to Fayetteville, which could be interesting. What if A&M beats Arkansas beats Texas? Bud Walton could be rocking on Saturday. That's a Saturday night. I think Jay Billis and the boys on ESPN, they thought it was going to be a bigger game, and it still could be. Now, if Arkansas drops it, looks back to how they were pre-Kentucky, maybe not as much juice. But again, Bama goes at Arkansas and Texas before the showdown against Auburn. I mean, I don't know who else would be number 2 at this point. It's Alabama really fighting for, I think Duke, Auburn have 2 number 1 seeds locked up from the NCAA tournament spot. I think Alabama's getting close a little bit. Maybe it's a little too premature. We'll see here in the next 2 weeks, but I think Bama's that 3rd team. I think there's a clear distinction right now. Auburn, Duke, Bama, I think are the 3 teams. Would you be shocked if the national champion came from somebody outside of that? But number 1, similar conversation. Auburn, 20-1, 8-0, number 1 in the net rankings, unanimous number 1 in everything. A potential historic Auburn team rolling here, especially a factor how good the league is this year and what they're doing. It makes it even more impressive. I mean, I think they've locked up a 1 seed, guys. They'd have to go lose like 6 conference games. We're not seeing that happening. So I think Auburn, Janai Broome and them go to Oxford, flex their muscles a little bit, get punched in the mouth. They take it, but they just make plays when they have to make plays. Again, if they needed a bucket, if Ole Miss cut it to 2 or 4, they go get their half-court offense. Miles Kelly, Todd Pettiford, someone would get a good big bucket. Janai Broome. Just is what it is. Just a well-rounded team, like I keep saying all year. They're elite in their role. Not a lot of selfish guys trying to get their opportunities, their points, guys who understand their role in the team. And again, Janai Broome's only gotten better. And I think they missed him on the offensive end more than they missed him on the defensive end when he's out. But again, Auburn clear number 1, not only in the SEC and in these power rankings, but in the country right now, folks. But there they are, the February 3rd, 1 through 16 SEC basketball power rankings as we stand here, guys. I appreciate you joining us, guys. But do not forget this segment of Dave's SEC Basketball Power Rankings is sponsored by our new title sponsor, FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com/SECU to join today and get started with $200 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Guys, again, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, folks. Again, the road to 20,000 subscribers. Let's go, guys. I know all you listening are not subscribed. Let's go get that. Let's go get that up. Our analytics are telling us that. I highly encourage it, guys. We got so much coming at you here from the SEC Unfiltered channel. The best SEC entity around for football, men's basketball, and baseball coming up, guys. But for Dave Shumate, I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your week.